Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Tyrone. I'm one of the HIV spokesmodels for the campaign HIV Stops With Me. And I'm back with the question of the month. This year question, I actually, because there's some questions I answer and it's like, it's quick and I can't relate to. But this question, I think, I got a story to tell. So the question of the month is, was there a specific trauma that led to your HIV diagnosis, or did your HIV diagnosis lead to a specific trauma, excuse me? And have you been able to move forward from it? If so, how? So I don't know. Like, I've been on the campaign for 8 years, so I don't know if everyone's seen my story or whatever. But um, before I was diagnosed, I was misdiagnosed. So by the time I was diagnosed with AIDS, and it's a backstory behind that. Because I was getting sick, not sick. Don't think about sick, because people think sick. They're like, oh, HIV. No, I was not doing well, and I was getting sicker and sicker. It came to the point where after I was misdiagnosed so many times, they were saying it's asthma, it's this, it's this, it's this. They had my mom, who was alive at the time, going to get mad different medications for me. And this is actually when I was going to the hospital. So what I did is I started going to different doctors. I live in Long Island, and what I did was I went to a doctor in a different neighborhood where people that didn't look like us. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to see what was really going on. So this was the first doctor that asked me, and my mom went with me to this appointment. You know, so this doctor had asked me, have you taken an HIV test? And I was like, no. So then he asked me some questions, are you having sex with men? Are you gay? And stuff like that. And at this point, like, I used to be on a DL, like, yeah, believe it or not, like, I used to be on a DL, but I wasn't just always out, you know what I'm saying? I was always having sex with guys, but also girls, but more so guys, you know what I'm saying? So that's what stick to the point. I was having sex with guys. And so that was the first time that I actually had to admit in front of my mother that I was having sex with guys. So he said, okay, let's do an HIV test. Fine, we did the HIV test. And at this time, they didn't have the quick test where it was like 24, or you get the test right back, the results right back. This was in 2006, 2007. So it took some time for the test to go back. So however, before I had got my test back, I had got really sick at my mom's house. It was one day I was really sick. And before this, it was like I was already sick. I couldn't really get out of bed. My mom's had to go to the pharmacy and get me one of those bottles when you're in the hospital, that when you can't get out of the bed, you have to urinate and stuff. So that's why I couldn't get out of bed. So what happened was the next day, it was like I really couldn't get out of bed. So my mom was at work, so I called my mom and told her I was gonna call the ambulance and go to the hospital and stuff like that. So the ambulance came and they took me to the hospital, and went through the process. I was taken into ICU, and there was this nurse there. Her name was Karen. I'll never forget her, So they were telling me, and this is so crazy because I've told this story before. That's why this question is like so crazy, and that's why this is going to be some time while me answering this question of the month. I was in the emergency room. My aunt came up there. I remember my aunt came up there. She came up there after I called my mom. My mom told my aunt I was going to the hospital. So, I was in the ER. They took me immediately to the IC, intensive care. For all of you that may not have been to a hospital, IC was intensive care unit. And I remember the nurse Karen saying that your vitals are dropping. We have to incubate you. And me, like some of you, I didn't know what incubate means. As far as I knew, I thought that meant that they had to cut a hole in my throat and put a tube. And I was like, no. I didn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time, I was maybe 26, between 26 and 30. I'm not going to give y'all my age, but I was like 26 to 30, you know what I'm saying? And she was like, we got to incubate you. And I was like, no. And my mom was like, please, Ty. And I know I had the strength to, I don't want them to cut my throat. And they explained to me what incubation meant. And it meant that they would have to put me in a coma. So I was put into a self-induced coma. So I was out of it for, I would say, 7 to 10 days. I was in a coma, and because they were like, your vitals will drop, we have to do this or you're gonna die. So I said, okay. Once I found out what the procedure was, I agreed to let them do that, and I was put into an induced coma for like 7 to 10 days, and I don't. I remember. Okay, so I guess I had. It's strange because as I think about it, well, I guess I had to be outside of the coma because I was at Nassau Community Hospital, where it's a teaching hospital, and I remember being awoke to hear when they came around with the students and stuff, and they were telling them my symptoms and stuff, and it was a black guy, a black student, and they were telling him my symptoms, and I remember in my mind, and this is crazy because I don't even know if I was awake then, because I was actually still in. It's just crazy because I was whatever. But I remember him saying that it sounds like HIV, and I hadn't got a diagnosis then, because remember I had went to the doctor in the white people area. You know what I'm saying? I had went to the doctor, and he did the test, but I hadn't got those. Yeah, so yeah, I hadn't got those results yet. So yeah, I guess I had to be awoke, because I remember once he said that, what I did was I had I had to be awoke, because what I did was I had a phone in my room, so I called, maybe my cell phone or whatever, but I had called the doctor that I went to. Remember, in the white neighborhood, I had called him to tell him that I was in the hospital, and I wanted to see what my results had been from the HIV test he'd taken. This was just maybe a week or less before then, and he told me that my results came back positive. So I had already knew that. So maybe I was just groggy. So I think I was out of the coma by then. I don't, like, honestly, because there was so many drugs I was on, and I'll get to that point later. I don't even remember. What I do remember is I remember talking to him, and he told me my status. And I think after I spoke to him, I called my mother and told her my status. And I was crying, I was upset. Like, I thought I was dying. 2006, you know what I'm saying? We had been through the epidemic, and we knew that people that were living with AIDS, because at that point I had an AIDS diagnosis, were dying, you know? So, mind you, she had just found out her son was gay. Like, we all know our parents know, but they don't know. They don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't admit it. They may know, but yeah. So, like, I called her and told her, and I was crying and stuff, and she was like, all right, it's all right, don't worry about it, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna get through this. So that was dope, you know what I'm saying. And mind you, I had been in the hospital for like 2 weeks. My mom's don't like elevators, so I was like on the 12th floor, so my mom's hadn't been there yet. It was crazy, but my aunt was there with me every day, you know. So next thing I do remember is when I woke up, my hands were tied to the bed, and I woke like so I found out that for me, I can't speak on it. When they had induced me and put me into the coma, they had tied my hands, because I remember, now I told you I had to be incubated, so I had the oxygen on and stuff like that, not through my throat or anything like that, but I had the oxygen and all that stuff on. So the nurse came in. Remember I told you all about the nurse Karen? Yeah, so she came in and said, we have your hands tied because we let your hands go. The first thing you're gonna do is reach for that tube. And I said, no. And I'm shaking my head. I know if I was talking, but it could have just been something I was thinking I was saying, but I'm saying no. So a couple of days later, they untied my hands, and guess what I did? The first thing I do, I go to reach. So she said, this is what we were talking about. So I said, okay, because I don't know if any of you ever been incubated, and that it's very uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? So you reach for that shit, not intentionally, but that's the yeah. So we took the restraints off my arms and stuff, and I got a better understanding of what was going on, so I didn't reach to take off anything. And my aunt was there, you know, and like um they told me my diagnosis, but I had already knew that, which was crazy because I guess I was going in and out because I was on so many medications just to keep me alive, you know, because once they induce you into a coma, your body's shutting down. So like, yeah. Um, so then they came and told me my status, you know what I'm saying, which was an AIDS. I was diagnosed with AIDS. Yes, I was diagnosed with AIDS, you know. And like the nurse came and told me, oh, things have changed so much. There are plenty of medications and stuff like that, you know. So moving forward, I got better. I got better. They took out the thing, and then the next thing they told me was, who knew? I didn't know. I had a decatheter. Who knows that they insert something in your penis so you can't yeah. They were like, hold your breath. We have to pull this out. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, you have something in your penis. And yeah, it wasn't a great feeling, you know what I'm saying? But that was the least of my worries at the time. But at that time, that was like, what the fuck? So, like, moving forward from there, uh, they had diagnosed me with that. So I went through my medication process. You know what they have to do to test to see which medications are going to work and all of this stuff. So eventually when I woke up, it was crazy because I woke up and I was like 140, 148 pounds. Okay, not a problem. I'm a skinny dude anyway. I'm skinny. My family, yeah, not all of my, but I'm a skinny dude anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay. And guess what? I woke up. They took the restraints off me. I was taking my new medications, and then I couldn't walk. Yeah. I couldn't walk. The doctors were like, just apply for disability. He'll never walk again, and all of this stuff. Went through that process, you know, and through that whole experience, I was in the hospital for about 2 months. Because before they would let me leave, they needed to know that I would be able to walk, at least with the, you know, the thing they give you. It's like not crutches, but you know this thing they give you where you gotta walk, and it's like you gotta be able to sit up and yo. So I remember when I first got I don't know what it's, you know, you have this thing, I don't know what it's called, but you have this thing to help you walk. So when I first started it, oh my God, I remember the first couple of times I was trying to walk and I was sweating profusely. I was like sweating so much, so much, so much, so much. And I just was like, yeah, the same for me. And then they was like, you gotta sit up. Because I was in the hospital bed. So you gotta sit up, you gotta open up your lungs, you gotta sit up, you gotta sit up. So I was sitting up in the chair, and I guess, I don't know though, yeah. I guess I was able to walk. I don't remember being able to get like more than 3 or 4 steps, you know what I'm saying? And I remember one day they were like, okay, we're gonna release you. You're getting released. I don't know if it was that day or tomorrow. I believe it was that day. You're getting released. And I'm calling my mom's like, I'm getting released. And then, remember Miss Karen? I told you about that nurse Karen. She came in and she said, yeah, you're getting released. I said, okay, I'll go home. And she said, no, um, you're going to go to Holly Patterson. That was a senior citizens home. And back in those days, that was a place where people that were living with HIV or at that time diagnosed with AIDS would go to die. So I called my mom. So I was like, Mom, they sending me to the Holly Patterson home. She said, what? No, they're not. She called my aunt. My aunt was up there. It's crazy. My aunt was up there in like 7 minutes, like for real, for real. And she was like, you're not sending my. And then they tried to explain it. It was like, well, because he can't walk up and down any stairs. This is the best place. My aunt said, no, my nephew's coming home with me. I live in an apartment where there's an elevator and everything. So after a couple of hours, she got the paperwork clear for me to go home with her. And mind you, I told you that I still wasn't able to walk. They released me. They were releasing me to the nursing home because I couldn't walk. But the hospital space, you gotta move. So, so I was released to my aunt, and it was crazy. So they released me. They put me in the wheelchair. You know how they put you in the wheelchair? They wheel you out the hospital, and I couldn't get out the wheelchair to get into my aunt's car. So they helped me. I got into the car. We get to my aunt's house, and guess what? Now it's time to get out the car to go to the elevator, and I still couldn't walk. I couldn't do it. My aunt is crying. She's upset. So she had been living in her building for some time, so she was able to get security to come out. And this is real shit. Like security lifted me up and helped me get into an apartment. And I remember they put me in her bed. And that night, my mom had been to the hospital. Once I got diagnosed, my mom came to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? So I just bypassed that because that's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, but I don't want to prolong the story. I'm trying to get this question on the month done because my fellow spokesman was gonna be like, bro, like you did a 20-minute, 30-minute so I'm just trying to hit the major points, you know. But yeah, when I came home, I was at my aunt's house. I was in the bed, you know what I'm saying? And they had set me up to have physical therapy done and all of that. But prior to that, when I came home, I was on 17 different medications, you know. And my aunt, she's a deaconess in the church, so she had to go to church. And I thought like I was able to go to the bathroom. And I remember it was one day that she had left to go to church, and I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't go to the bathroom. It was a lot. I'm not gonna go into that because that's a whole. Long story short, my physical therapist was coming in 3 times a week. He was teaching me how to walk again. And long story short, that's like my story from like trial to what do you say, success, you know, like. So if I'm getting back to the question of the month, for a specific trauma, my trauma was being diagnosed with AIDS and going through the process, because a lot of people these days, you're able to go get tested and, you know, you get your test and okay, blah, 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 you go to your doctor. I went through a whole process that I think that changed my life. I went through a whole process. Like I was pretty much dead. And because of my will to live, I'm here today. So it's like the second part of the question, how have I been able to move forward for it? Because the strength that I have for myself, I know that I have the will to live. And after being diagnosed and coming home, you know, one of the main questions I would say to my friends at the time was like, it wasn't even focused on me. It was more so like, because at the time I was having unprotected sex with people, who else could I have who else did I give the virus to? If I didn't know I had it and I was still having sex, who else could I have given this virus to? You know? And that's one reason why I came in this work, because I'm from Long Island. So once I was first diagnosed, it's like coming home, it was like, damn, yeah, it's crazy. But I was like to myself, I will never have sex again. Not because I didn't want to, but who would want to have sex with me? You know? And after a couple of years, there comes this man come along named Sheldon. He came to my agency and he's talking about this HIV Stop the Me campaign. And he was interviewing me about the campaign, and I kind of flipped it on him because I'm like, yo, is this going to make a difference? Like, is this just one of those fly-by-nights where you're, yeah, blah, blah, but is this really going to make a difference? Are we going to be able to make a difference in people's lives? And one thing I can say for sure, two things for certain, that after joining the campaign, it made a difference for me. And from all of you, like, it's been so many of you that have hit me up that are supporting me, you know what I'm saying? And not for nothing, this is real. And a lot of people that hit me up have kids that have my experiences, maybe not to the extent that I have my experiences, but they know what I went through and they trust me to speak to their kids, you know what I'm saying? To speak to them about living with HIV. Because now I'm undetectable, which means I can't pass the virus to anyone. So yep, I'm having sex again, but I also have a partner. I've been with my partner for 8 years, you know what I'm saying? We're both living with HIV, but I've also, during those 8 years, I've also had partners that weren't living with HIV, you know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing that I can say is that because people know me and they hear my truth, so they trust me to be the truth and speak the truth. So like, yo, this has been a question. Like, I don't know why Sheldon did this shit, but this shit just brought me back. Excuse my cursing. We all grow up though, but like, yeah, this is that's my struggle. This is my trial, and this is where I'm at now. I'm doing great now. I'm a spokesmodel. I'm a project manager for my agency, which is the Leadership Training Institute. I am a co-chair for the peer review board, which is through AI. I mean, I'm so many things now. So when I think about who I am, the last thing I think about is someone living with HIV. You know what I'm saying? So that's my message to everyone. And like, it's about moving forward and yo, being real with ourselves and being real with other people, so that no one, for me, is so no one has to go through what I went through. So thank you all for listening, and yo, I'll see y'all next month on the next question of the month. Have a good one. Later.